Hi, I'm Thor Peterson with Crow, and today I'll be building and publishing a Tableau dashboard to help with monitoring accounts where the current balance is greater than total charges. Once built and published to Tableau server, I'll go ahead and create an alert that will email a snapshot and link back to the dashboard once per week. I'll be moving through this activity pretty quickly, so feel free to pause the video as needed to review each step along the way. Let's go ahead and get started. So I'm going to open up Tableau Desktop. And from Tableau Desktop, I'll make sure that I'm connected to my Tableau server. And so here I can see that I am. I'll go ahead down here to the connection pane, select Tableau server, and find my daily trended data extract. So once connected there, I can see I'm connected live here. I'll go ahead and start a new sheet. So first things first, let's go ahead and measure the number of accounts that we have with a balance greater than charges. So in order to do that, we'll need to create a filter that looks at our account balances, and we will leverage a calculated field here that we'll create in Tableau Desktop. So let's take a look at our MRA account balance field. I'm going to right click and on the menu choose Create Calculated Field. I'll go ahead and give this a name, MRA-account balance greater than charges flag. And with my MRA account balance field here on the view, I'll go ahead and add in my greater than symbol and look to find my MRA total charges field here, dragging that onto the view. And so now I can see that calculation is valid. So this will evaluate at the lowest level of detail each account's balance and the total charges on that account, life to date. So we'll click OK there. And so then we will find that field that was created here. We can see it's got a TF next to it. That indicates it's a true or false, or a Boolean function. So I'll drag that dimension over to filters, and I'm going to choose true and click OK. So the next thing I want to do, since I'm connected to daily trended and I've got more than one ATB here, I want to always be looking at my most recent ATB date. And so I'll add ATB date to our filter, dropping it right there on the filters card. Select month, day, and year. Click Next. Use All and select the top pane. By field, top 1, ATB date, and we will aggregate using the maximum aggregation. Click OK. And so now I've got two filters in place. I want to measure the number of records. So I'll find my number of records measure here, drop that onto columns. And so now I've got a bar chart representing that count. On the toolbar, I can toggle on our mark labels. And I can also modify the size of this mark here, the 595, by clicking Label on the marks card, choosing Font, and give that a 20-point font. Okay, so I'll just click on the view here, and that font now it's large enough to where it takes up more space. And so I'm just going to click on this axis and drag it down a bit. There we go. That should do. So I'm finished with this sheet. I'll go ahead and name sheet 1 by double clicking on the tab at the bottom. Let's call this Count of Accounts. And before I start on my next sheet where I pull in the account detail, I'm going to go ahead and apply these filters to all sheets. So first I'll select this MRA account balance filter, right click, apply to worksheets, all using this data source. I'll do the same thing with my ATB date, right click on the pill, on the menu, select apply to worksheets, all using this data source. That means each new worksheet that I create we'll use this same filter. So I'll go ahead and create my new sheet by clicking on the tab here at the bottom. And in this case, I want to look at the account number. So let's double click on account number. And we're gonna be querying that data source here for the account detail. It might take a moment on your system to query that detail. But once it does, we should see our filters pop in here from our other sheet that we worked on for the count of accounts. So we'll give this a minute to execute. And there we go. So we can see here that we've got 595 marks representing 595 rows by one column. And that ties back to our count of accounts where we show 595 here. So we're in good shape there. These are the account numbers. And so from here, we'll go ahead and add our measures. And so what I'd like to do is I would like to include the transactions posted to these accounts, life to date. So we'll look for our TX dash fields here. So we'll start with admin. So double click admin, double click bad debt, double click charity, contractual, denial, and bring in the total payments. So I'll also mention that we might want to add some dimensions here to tell us a little bit more about this account. So feel free to browse your dimensions here and add them as needed. As an example, I will bring across the current SIPG. So I found my current SIPG on dimensions. I'll drag that over here onto the rows shelf right next to account number and drop it there. And I'm almost finished. So it's not very easy to read our headers here. So let's go ahead and give these some aliases. And so right click here on my transactions for admin. So go ahead and type in admin. So I'll right click here, choose edit alias, bad debt. Right click here, edit alias, charity. Right click, contractual. Right click, denial. And finally here, right click, payments. Okay, so that looks a little bit better. So I've got my transactions here. Now what I'd like to do is find my measures for MRA account balance. So I'll go ahead and drag that down here to the measure values card. Okay. And I'd also like to bring in my MRA total charges. Okay. So now let's add aliases to these as well. So I'll right click on the MRA account balance header and call this current balance. And right click on my total charges here and call this charges. Now click OK. So we can put these into a different order. So I may choose to have my current balance all the way to the left here. So I'll click on that header and drag it to the left. I can do the same thing with charges. Okay. All right. So it looks good so far. Let's go ahead and drag this header border. So right here at the top, you'll notice that my cursor turns into a bidirectional arrow. We'll drag that down a little bit. All right. And then we can also drag these columns across. So just finding a transition between two of these columns, you'll notice my cursor once again is in a bidirectional cursor. So I'll click there and drag to the right a little bit. All right, so that gives me a little bit more room. Let's try it a little bit more. And so just adjust this to your own liking. I could also drag this SIPG over to the right just by hovering over this vertical line. So we can see a little bit more of that line as well. Okay, so that's a good start. Let's look at this account number a little bit, drag that over to the right. All right, that ought to do. So let's sort this list based on the current balance from greatest to least. So we want to sort the account balance here. I'm sorry, the account number based on the balance. So let's find that account number pill, right click on it, choose sort. We're going to sort by a field in descending order. We're going to use the field name MRA account balance. And the sum is a good way to aggregate that, that measure. So I'll click the close button, and we've got our sum here. Perfect. So the last thing that I might want to do here is add a summary row, something that totals each one of these columns so that I can see overall what my current balances are and the associated transaction summaries. So let's go ahead up to the analysis menu, choose totals, and choose show column grand totals. And so we scroll to the bottom here. That's our total. So you could leave it there, or you could actually bring this up to the top. And so click analysis, totals, and column totals to top. Okay, so now we've got our grand total at the top. We can see we got $2.3 million here, 1.4 million in charges, and then the associated transactions. So, okay, that's a great worksheet to provide us with that detail. So let's go ahead and double click on sheet 2, and we will rename this to account summary. Press enter on my keyboard, and we're good to go. So our next step would be to combine these two worksheets into a dashboard. So let's go ahead and do that here. So new dashboard. Basically what I did is I clicked on this button here to create that new dashboard. I'll start with my count of accounts. I'll drag that from the sheets over to the canvas here. I'll do the same thing with the count summary, and I'm going to drag it here closer to the bottom, drop it right there. So for this worksheet on account summary, I'd like to go ahead and fit that to width. So I'll come up here to the menu bar, or the toolbar rather, and fit to width. And okay, so looks good. Everything fits fine there. Let's add a title for this. So I'll go ahead and click text on my objects pane, drag text up to the top, drop that there, and give this a title, accounts with balance greater than total charges. We'll highlight that and give it a 20-point size there. Go ahead and bold that and click OK. All right, perfect. So while that's up there, let's go ahead and add a logo. So if you've got a logo for your health system saved as an image, we can add that to the workbook here. Let's go ahead and click image on the objects pane. Drag that up and drop it. We're going to browse to find our image. There's my crow image. I'll click open and click the drop down here on the object and choose fit image. Okay, so now that that's done, I'd like to go ahead and drag this bottom border up, and I'll drag this right border of the image to the left. All right, so that fits nicely, looks good. I'll go ahead and use some more of this real estate for my account summary. So clicking on my account summary object, drag that border up to the top. All right, looks good. So we've got a nice little dashboard here. Let's go ahead and name this by double clicking on the tab, and we'll call this accounts with balance greater than charges. So just give that a name that makes sense for you, and then we can go ahead and save this. So I'll go ahead and click File, Save As, and save it in my own repository. And so I've already got a sample here. I'm going to go ahead and save over the top of that. So I just named it accounts with balance greater than charges and put a little date on there just for versioning. I'll click Save, click Yes. Okay, so we should be saved there. Our next step will be to publish it up to Tableau Server. So clicking on Server on the menu, We can see that I'm signed in to my Tableau server. I'll click Publish Workbook here on the menu. I'm going to publish this to my custom project. You may have a sandbox project or some other project in use. Provided you have privileges to do so, you can publish anywhere you choose. So I'll name this, I'll leave the name as it is. I'll just remove the date. I'm going to just publish the sheets that represent the dashboard. So I'll click Edit here. And so unselect and unselect, or I could have chosen to click Only Dashboards. Click in the background here. I'm going to include the external files since this logo is actually an external file, and click Publish. So as this is publishing to my Tableau server, I'll go ahead and bring this window up. Let's see. Looks like I closed the tab before it published, so I'll try this again. I'll click Server, Publish Workbook. Everything else is the same. Same. Click Publish. I'll click Yes to overwrite what I just published. And we'll let Internet Explorer open up and do its thing. Okay, here it comes. Okay, so this verifies that my workbook has published, and it's named Accounts with Balance Greater Than Charges. I'll click Done there. Let's just go ahead and take a look at it here. So clicking on the view, okay, so now I can see my number of accounts, and I can see my account summary. There's a little scroll bar here. If I wanted to download this as a PDF or as an image, I could do that. If I were to click on my account summary, I could download the actual Tableau workbook as well. So let's go ahead and create the alert for this. So I'll click on number of records here, click alert, and we'll use the condition above or equal to 1. So anytime there's one or more accounts in this list, we'll get an email. We can set this up so that we've got a very specific subject. I think that works in the subject line. And we can set this up so that it's done hourly, daily, or weekly. In this case, we'll choose weekly at most. And I'm already in here as a recipient, so this is my username. We can add other users here. For example, I'll add Michelle Full so that she gets an email once a week with the listing of these accounts. So from here, I'll click Create Alert. And alert was successfully created. So we are all set. So that wraps up our presentation for today. Please feel free to list some comments on the Hive, and let me know of some ways that you could make use of an alert such as this using other measures or other calculated fields. Thank you and have a great day.